You know what I like? I like animatics. I have a real fondness in my heart for animatics, especially animatics that are made by smaller teams, right? Because occasionally you'll get like big AAA companies or whatever putting out animatics for like their projects, and usually it's like, yes, it's an animatic, but you can tell it was worked on by like a lot of people, and like this, it's from something that has like a huge budget, and there's always a level of polish to those animatics that is like, okay, it's a different vibe, not bad, but it's a different vibe than you get when you get the little scrappy indie animatic, where it's like, okay, we want to do some kind of animated short for this thing, but that's outside of our budget range. It's never going to happen. So we make an animatic that's going to get the idea across, right? And the art of the animatic is something a little bit different than the art of the traditional animation, because the art of the animatic is very much about picking your battles, right? Like it's about like where exactly are the moments in the narrative, in the song that you're working from, in the soundtrack, in the music, whatever. Where are the moments where, okay, here's where we need like 8 frames of animation, and we need those 8 frames of animation to play, like, or we need to do camera changes and things. And then where do you not put your effort? Because like that's one of the things that's always fascinated me deeply about animation and cinematography, but especially animation as a craft, is like there comes a point in the production of an animatic, right? Like where the overlap between an animatic and essentially just a comic with an unusually large number of panels, it intermingles, and there's a gray area. And I am originally, once upon a time, I was a comic artist, right? Like a cartoonist, more like, not Marvel comics and things like that. But like that was a lot of my art, right? Like that was a lot of what I did. I have a real fondness in my head for like, oh, comics, when you do the layouts and like you try and get the panel layouts and try and get the storytelling across visually. And so what my point is, it tickles my brain when animation has to sort of enter into comics territory, but it brings with it the cinematic language and like some of the effects that only animation can achieve. And there's this blending of like thing that just it makes me happy. Like my brain gets tickled in a nice way. I don't really know how to explain it any better than that. So I like animatics. Animatics have gotten me into a whole bunch of things. Like that was how I found Beetlejuice the musical. Like something which, going by the name, I would never in 100 million years have bothered with. It's like the Beetlejuice the musical. Okay, yeah, no, I think I'm good. Actually, I don't need whatever their rendition of the Banana Boat song. I'm probably okay. Turns out it's actually pretty decent, and the reason why I found that out is because I saw some really cool animatics on YouTube, for like made by fans who were like really desperate to try and show off their visual imagination for what this thing could look like if only it was animated, right? Epic the Musical obviously has gotten a lot of play out of doing animatics for its songs, and has like an animatic fan community as well, of people who just make their own, like besides the ones that are actually official. Same thing, like the Undertale community has astonishing animatics for a lot of their shit, some of which I should probably take a look at. So animatics are cool, is the point I'm trying to get across, which is why we're going to look at this one today. This is an animatic for a song called Loser, which is a new single by a musician called Nathan Apollo, who has a new album coming out that he's sort of doing the promo for, called Tales from Cazilor Wyldflowers, if I'm remembering correctly. Now, I'm dropping that information, and I'm going to put a link to the album itself, or Nathan's Spotify. Like, I've got to figure out the correct links, and I'm going to put those in the description, and you should go check it out. And I'm doing that, not really because he sponsored me or is paying me or anything. I don't know that he has the budget for that, really, but because Nathan is an acquaintance of mine. We occasionally play a little bit of tabletop together over on the D&Dorks YouTube channel, where currently we are playing a campaign called One Day at a Time, where he plays a robot who is slowly awakening to conscience and trying to figure out what life is, and I play a wrestler who's also kind of a gladiator, who's also a tokusatsu hero, but he's also kind of like a union organizer, and he has a New York accent. It sort of turned out eventually. So it's like that's the vibe of there's a mouse girl there who maybe has some kind of eldritch knowledge. We might have to kill and dethrone God by the end of that campaign. There's a bunch of stuff going on. It's called One Day at a Time. You can watch it on the D&Dorks YouTube channel. If I'm smart, I'll edit in some footage over top of here, and maybe now I will play you a highlight clip. Look, and Fiev, like, he raises a hand and does this weirdly complicated hand motion. over his hand where there's a ring on his finger. This is gonna be... When evil spreads his vicious blight, the wings of justice spring to flight. The ring begins to glow. There's pyrotechnics. there's like smoke. There's a little bit of fire. He glows entirely, and then... And he's there striking a pose.
Whoa!
As the Falcon Wing of Justice.
Yep, no, that makes sense. Caleb does not shut up about you. I don't think he's missed a single one of your shows.
Young Caleb. I started to think that he might be in trouble.
Oh,
please,
you talk like that.
Madam.
Okay.
Forgive my indiscretions, but we must find him.
I'm sorry. Before anything else, when you change your costume, do you have to talk like that, or do you just start doing that just because?
Fear does not respond to that at all.
We need to get Caleb out of here. Is there still any way that we can evacuate him?
Wheresoever he may be, I shall find him, and to safety he will be delivered.
So this is a choice to talk like this, right? He's actually suddenly
Cause
so
of
much
justice is always a choice.
Yes.
Yes. Now,
oh, it's
Razor,
a choice, all right.
we must away.
Right. Okay, let me get my sandwich to go, and then let's go help Caleb.
There we go. I'll do a little bit of extra editing for this one because I want to promote it because it's fun. I enjoy spending that time. Nathan and I both play in it. And since I saw now that he was sort of putting out some media that enters into my domain, which is the domain of the internet animatic and the talking about it too much while looking at it, why not do that so that I could both promote the D&D campaign that we're both in and also tell you all to check out his albums because they're actually good. It's like, it's not just me gassing up a friend. They're good. Like dude just made some bangers. It's worth checking out. It's worth checking out. But yeah, anyway, that's fucking enough preamble at this point, I think. So I haven't heard this song yet. I haven't watched this animatic yet. So let's check out Loser by Nathan Apollo.
I tiptoe when I conversate, cause I don't want hoes to congregate. Me and you are like miles away, but I guess I got time today. Hey, take a look at my face. No sleep, but I'm wide awake. And when I make a splash, I'll take a dash just for a chance to ride the wave. And you stay.
Okay. So this is I've recorded the intro to this video a couple of times. I don't know if I actually rambled about this 2 seconds ago, but the art of the animatic is the art of the possible, right? Like it's the art of like how much budget do we have? How many frames of animation is their budget to create for the purposes of doing this animatic? Where are we gonna put them? And like where are we gonna add that little bit of extra polish? So we have this intro walk, right? And this is a 2-frame cycle, right? Like this is functionally nothing. It's just this, right? And it's not a very good walk cycle, right? Like, because it can't be, because it only has 2 frames, and you kind of, you can do a walk cycle with only 2 frames of animation, but it generally looks better on an 8-bit, like, NES sprite than it does on, like, a fully fledged, fully rendered human, right? So we have this intro scene of, like, we're having our character walking dramatically towards the camera. Not much we can do with the walk cycle, because there's really no point animating it any more complicated than this. So what do we do instead? Well, we apply a bunch of motion and parallax effects to the background. So you can see we have like these thinly sketched mountains and like a little bit of cloud in the background, which has like, you have this like deep field, I'm looking for the word. It's not a dolly zoom kind of thing, but it's a little bit of like that effect. We're removing the background in order to provide some context for the motion of the character. And again, it's this thing of like, all we need to get across here is, okay, we have this shot, dramatic shot, characters sort of cut off with the top of the head. So we're seeing like their chest as they're walking towards something that gives them like this air of like someone who's walking towards a challenge or like something. We're not getting access to their emotional state yet, because that's the thing where we cut to the next shot where, again, not much of a walk cycle here, right? Like we're really just implying motion by scrolling the background, but we're, again, doing the little character design thing that I've talked about many times, where we're denying access to the person's emotional state by hiding their eyes, right? Like by pushing their eyes away so that we can do the reveal, right? So that we get like this determined brows down, pushes the hair back into place, getting ready to do a thing. So we really get that sense of like, this is someone who's steeling themselves for something, clearly. And then we get an establishing shot, right? Like, this is where the fuck we are, and this is what the fuck is happening. That's what the establishing shot is for. So again, no animation on this. This is really just sort of copy-pasting. Well, probably not copy-pasting. I think they probably redrew them, but just tiny, tiny little dude here, right? He's tiny next to the mountains, next to the landscape, next to, like, the castle in the mountains. By the way, I love the perspective. Like, what is that? Like, it's like a 3-point perspective or something. Quite nice. But we're emphasizing here with this establishing shot, right? Scale. The whole point of this shot is to establish scale. Number one, this dude is human-sized. Teeny tiny. Number two, bunch of big buildings. Number three, huge nature. Like, huge fantasy environment around him. Number four, that thing is big. Now, that thing, if you know the... Cazilor is a fantasy world that exists, like, that Nathan Apollo has sort of created to serve as, like, a framing device for some of his albums, right? Like the first Tales from Cazilor is very much, like, framed around, like, this narrative of a like, fully realized fantasy world. And one of the campaigns over on the D and Dorks that I wasn't in, but which is quite good, is set in Cazilor, right? And it focuses a lot around a war between civilizations, where you have the one civilization where, like, you have these giants who are really powerful, have a lot of magic, and they like humans, and they, like, cooperate with humans, and they all build civilization together, and it's good times, happy fun, and there's definitely no political intrigue there. And then you have this other faction of giants who are like, actually, humans suck. They are an abomination on the face of nature, and we're going to wipe them out from the entire planet. Fuck you. And so there's this conflict between these two, and in order to fight the giants, we're doing a little bit of an Attack on Titan thing here. You have these, what this person seems to be training to be a part of, which is a squad of, they're called something specific, but Nathan basically made up, like, his whole own entire D&D module with, like, rules for giant combat, where, like, okay, you're facing off against a giant, here's a set of specific combat rules that'll allow a normal person with a team to take down a single giant. And so what this looks to me like is that's training session for that, because he has the climbing axes that are used for giant combat. But of course, that's not all it's about, right? Like, we get this shot right here, where it's like, oh, hey, where's their face on that guy all of a sudden? And why does he have a hairstyle that's ever so slightly a little tiny bit kind of like maybe the hairstyle that our protagonist has got? Well, that's interesting. And upon seeing that ghost vision, our protagonist also seems distressed and distracted by it. Well, now we are implying that what this is actually about is not just training martial training in order to do a job as part of a military. We have some emotional stakes going on here, right? Like, this is not just the protagonist dealing with whatever it is they have to do as like a member of a combat team to fight giants. They are fighting a battle internally in their mind. And that's simple, but very effective storytelling. It, like, within the first, 20 seconds, within 15, 20 seconds, we immediately understand that's what this is about. 16 seconds or so, that's how long it takes. We have established, here's our character, here's our setting, here's, like, the core emotional, probably, I mean, who knows, maybe the animatic goes off in another direction, but at this point we have, this is the core emotional through line, right? Is this character definitely has another psychological thing going on about the giants, and so the physical action of, like, trying to fight this thing has something to do with the physical action of trying to overcome a psychological challenge as well. So again, animatics, very much about, like, the art of doing what you can with what you have, right? And this is very well established. So let's take it not quite from the top, let's take it from... Oh, actually, I also wanted to... Here's another little lovely economy of motion thing, right? So again, the thing I said, where do we place the animation frames that we have access to? There are certain bits of action with the character where we want to place a little bit more emphasis on them. So here, we have this pushed-in Dutch angle shot, and the character's like, we're going to spend some animation frames to have the character draw their weapon in a cool way, right? So down, grab the axis. Lots of lovely smearing, lots of lovely, like spinning lines. Deform them completely into discs, hold that for, like, a couple of frames, and then boom. And then you get that sense of, like, that snappy, like where the character pulls out their weapons in a cool way. Again, it's all about, like, where do you place your resources? That was one of the places where clearly they went, okay, we need some extra animation frames for the character here. Not just a quick sort of snap from one to the other, but like a little flourish, because the flourish is important.
Me and you are like miles away, but I guess I got time today. Hey, take a look at my face. No sleep, but I'm wide awake, and when I'm
also, some very impressive 3D camera movements here. Obviously, not real 3D camera movements, but that we start like from this low angle, character runs into shot, then we have this camera swoop, right? Like where the camera tracks up along the body of the puppet, and the character gets smaller, and like we see them like rapidly scale up this thing, and then we get towards the action, and there's a lovely little moment of like, here's another one of those little things of like, the character is scaling this giant, right? Like it's pretty cool action. So you can see here, we're doing some smearing, like, well, not necessarily smearing, but we're definitely doing some deformation of the character in the direction of travel to further imply the speed with which they're moving. But then as we get to here, right, and they land, boop, little bit of secondary motion, a little bit of that follow through, right? Like where we just do a little bit, not a lot, just like one frame of settling, where we allow the hair and the cape to catch up, and that alone,
sleep, but I'm wide awake, and when I'm
right, like having that little tiny bit of follow through, even though it's absolutely minimal, it does something to maintain the sense of motion, right? Like it does something to maintain the sense of movement that we get here. And same thing here, like here we have the character rearing back to do like the big dramatic slash, and this is like fully some, like this is fully on some Sakuga shit, right? Like not in the sense that it is as well produced as Sakuga would be in like a cool action anime, but it's doing some of the same things where we have like this deep push in, heavy foreshortening, and like the camera follows the elbow of the protagonist out in this like this exaggerated arc to really drive home, and then we get like the flash frame, a little bit of kinetic typography, and then another classic anime thing, like that, where you have this the thing that is being climbed, or the central tall element in the image. How do you show that it's really tall? Well, you just have the clouds circle it, right? Like this is like the vanishing point of the whole image, so everything circles around the important thing. It's a very common way that anime likes to guide the eyes of people when they do like these shots of a cloud or something like that. They like to just do the clouds circling the top of whatever it is we're supposed to pay attention to, where obviously the mountain is actually the taller thing. You would think the clouds would circle that, but no, this is about leading the audience's eyes so that we're paying attention to here, because here is where our hero reappears, or protagonist anyway, and comes down. Okay, cool. So, like, again, very effective. Same thing here, like, during the running sequence, right? We need the character sees, so we hold on this, like, shocked expression for a couple of frames, but then they have to shake their head and sort of like, no, fuck, they put it out of your mind, like, do the thing. So we get run, duke, right? It's really just 4 frames. But you get it. Now, I might have added some motion smearing between the two shakes to sort of really emphasize it. Emphasize maybe just that one frame of follow through here. But again, who cares? Doesn't matter. Point is that it's effective. Like, you understand. The point is, like, it's not about creating good, appealing animation as such. It's about getting the audience to understand the gesture of what the character is doing with absolutely minimal means, right? And that's a discipline. That's a difficult thing to do, like, because you heard me right there that I was sitting there saying if I was doing it, I'd probably add a little bit more, and that would make me worse at doing an animatic like this, because that you're not supposed to do that. Don't do that. If you're doing an animatic that's supposed to be minimal, do not get bogged down in adding extra details and flair and flourish where it is not necessary, right? That's what's always that was one of my issues whenever I tried to do any kind of animation. I've done a couple of commercial animations before. I did an ad for like I think it was like a data tool or something like that played on a few websites and things like that. But one of the problems I had when making that is I was only commissioned to make a fucking animatic, like a very, very, very simple little thing, and I kept adding more shit. Because I kept being like, I could smooth this motion out a little bit. And that's a bad instinct when you're doing an animatic, because the point is not to show off the flourishes. The point is to put the flourishes where they are needed, and otherwise just communicate with whatever you have available, with as little as you can get away with. Communicate to the audience so that the action is clear, so that the acting is clear, so that the intent, the cinematography, so that the storytelling is clear. Don't muddy the waters, because once you start adding extra details in one place, it becomes more a thing of like, when you see the rest of it, it's like, ooh, there's really a bunch of stuff is missing there. That's not up to the same level of quality. So there is a really delicate tightrope to walk there, especially for like whatever artist was commissioned. I should fucking look that up, shouldn't I? I'll put that on the screen here since I'm editing the video anyway. This animatic was produced by that there. As a commission artist, when you're working on something like this, you have like the discipline you have to have about not making extra work for yourself out of perfectionism is like, it's a difficult thing, but it's also that discipline is necessary. Because it makes you a better communicator when you're doing an animatic like this. It's a difficult fucking thing. It's the same thing here, right? Like, what we need here for this shot is we just need to communicate that 3D camera move, right? We just need to communicate the swoop. That we start at ground level, like with our eye line basically below everything that's happening below the character, and the eye line then swoops, or the perspective swoops, so that it is above everything, and our eye line is also above everything. And so this is like not a correct 3D camera move, right? Like this is, in terms of maintaining the like consistency of the perspective and things like that, that's not really the objective here. It's not the objective to maintain the consistency of perspective or even of scale. The point is to get the vibe across, right? Like that this is what the character is doing.
Smash, I'll take a dash just for a chance to ride the wave, and you say.
And it is difficult. Like, one thing, part of the reason why I'm over-explaining so much is occasionally I do see people who see animatics, right? Especially animatics that have, like, millions of views or whatever. And then the animatic doesn't look very good because it doesn't look like full-fledged animation, and because it doesn't look like the kind of animatic that gets put out as a promotional piece for some, like, major massive Hollywood corporation thing or whatever, where they make animatics that look really polished and really nice. And then you get these amateur animatics, and people kind of go, well, why is anyone impressed by this? Like, people are just listening to the song. Who cares about the animatic? And like, no. It's difficult. There's a difficult discipline to do this correctly. Like, there used to be, probably there still are, like on big budget productions there still are, but it used to be that like being a storyboarder, which is like basically not quite the same thing as being a person who does animatics, but like being a storyboarder, the person who creates these kinds of incredibly loose, sketchy, like outlines of a cinematic sequence, that was like a whole career. You could have a whole career just doing that, and you could get paid pretty well to do it too. Like just having someone who has the skill, the ability to make something akin to this, a good storyboard, right? And this is something I know from people who work in the animation industry. It's like more and more there's this expectation that like character animators should also be storyboarders, and storyboarders should also be character animators. Like animators are being asked to wear more and more hats, and it's contributing to like the burnout that's present in the industry. Because they are not the same skill set. Like, it's not, if you are a really, really fucking, if you're Glenn Keane, if you're like the greatest, like a great fucking character animator, you're not necessarily going to be good at doing storyboards at the same time. Glenn Keane happens to also be really fucking good at doing storyboards. I've seen some of them. But like, being a really, really good animator does not make you a good storyboarder, or vice versa. Like, there's a different set of skills that are involved in there. And a lot of animators have to become good storyboarders because they do both storyboards and animation on a show, right? Like, which sometimes like turns out really well. Like, a lot of really great shows are produced that way. It's just that used to be a thing that they paid more people to do, and rather than like dumping that same job on the same people for the same pay. So like, I just want to get across, this is impressive. It's impressive that a person can make something like this, and there's real skill involved in picking exactly which frames to render.
Hey, you say you get it. Get what? Get real. You don't know how it all feels to be the thought when.
And so here we see, like, very good. Okay, very effectively done there. That's a very effective reveal. Right, so we have protagonist has just killed their dad, I guess. I imagine it's a father thing. It looks like daddy issues. It has the scent of it. Friend puts a hand on their shoulder and like, fuck yeah, I don't want fucking sympathy right now. I'm having stormy internal emotions about things. And then they have their good friend with the cool anime hair. And then it's like, oh, look at someone being literally overshadowed. Where, again, and this is that thing about, like, the little choices, where the statue of, I guess their dad, probably, going by context clues, you can see here we have rendered that thing shiny, right? Like, it has, like, the light, it has, like, the highlighting on the thing, whereas the character here, flat gray, right? So that there's literally a thing of, like, this thing is shining, this thing is in shade, literally being overshadowed, and then can't resist putting in a little bit of a meme with the pointing from the two other characters in the thing.
To be the thought when they think of ideal. You got no plan for action, no drive, no love or passion. What did you think would happen? Baby, you're a loser. A loser. You'll get no company. No company. 'Cause you're a loser. A loser. You'll get no company. No company. Not from me. So pick up.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, so the lyrics, right? Like, the lyrics are doing this thing of, like, you're a loser, you'll get no company. Like pick up the slack. Like, do it better. You're not doing well enough. Literally, with, like I said, this is literally a D&D module that you can download and play yourself if you want to slay some giants. So there's the reference there with the Nat 1. And the frustration from this person about, like, this kid, right? It's like, you're not doing well enough. Why aren't you trying harder? Why aren't you more driven? Why aren't you more ambitious? Why aren't you living up to whatever? Like, why aren't you literally lifting your weight, right? Like, why aren't you carrying your own weight? And you can see here. I think we are literally. I think this is literally copying that one shot from Mulan. Be a man. I'll make a man out of you. Like, maybe not directly in terms of the cinematography, but it's like it's copying the same thing where they're running with, like, the heavy weights over their shoulders, and we see that the other kid can't keep up. And a nice little visual flair here is the use of the white streak in this kid's hair, right? That's a nice way to identify him, to make his character design clear from a distance, especially at low detail. Because, like, here, that could be anyone. But because the animatic has done the work of establishing, oh no, the white streak of hair, we can identify him immediately as, like, okay, it's that guy, right? Like, also from the Kuleshov effect of, like, the shots being put in contrast. Right, and so here, people helping each other up over, our protagonist jumps up, goes up on his own. You're a loser, you'll get no company. And it's like, oh, okay, so the verse is about, or the chorus is clearly about the kid who can't pull his weight, right? Like, he's a loser, and our protagonist doesn't like him and doesn't want to hang out with him. Or them, or whatever. But then it's like, oh no, actually, this is the loser. This motherfucker right here is the loser. Because they get no company. Whereas the kid, clearly popular, clearly well-liked, clearly is able to make friends. Which, in a discipline like giant slaying, which is a cooperative discipline within the armies of this fantasy world. Oh, hey, maybe that's actually the power that turns out to be more useful than just being able to, like, solo 1v1 Eren Jaeger your ass all over the place.
And you'll get no company.
And that's clever. Like, I quite like that. That's a very clever use of the lyrics, right? Like, of, like, this juxtaposing, like, this, I'm looking for the word. It is juxtaposition, right? Like, where we're juxtaposing on the one hand that this person considers them a fucking loser because they can't pull their weight, but then the visual language of the thing is like, oh, no, maybe that's actually, maybe he's kind of losing a little bit more, or they're losing a little bit more because they get no company, and they have nothing else except, you know, the drive to be good at the thing, so that they can climb out from under the shadow of their father, probably their father.
From me. So pick up the tempo, pick up the pace. If that's too hard, get the fuck out the way. You'll just slow me down and stop acting like you know me now. You're a chump, you're a loser. You're an all-star beggar, I'm a chooser. You'll catch me at the top when the timer is stopped, and any other story is a rumor. It's a rumor, cause I'm like that, and it's not my fault if you don't like that. If I show up to fight, I'ma show up to win. If you ain't like that, don't fight back. See, we ain't even in the same league. If we lose, nobody's gonna blame me. I'll win, no buts or maybes, cause baby, you're a loser.
Right. That's good. That's a nice use of the song structure, I think.
The story is a rumor. It's a rumor, cause I'm like that, and it's not my fault if you don't like that. If I show up to fight, I'ma show up to win. If you ain't like that, don't fight back. See, we ain't even in the same league. If we lose, no.
I do like the running animation also. Like, by the way, this little fight animation right here is quite good. Because again, we're working with like absolutely minimal assets with which to do the communication, right? So like we're getting these minimal clashes, and this is where we get the overlap with comics a little bit. Because you can see here, for example, like these motion smears, like this visual like snapping effect, that is fully what you would do for a comic panel as well, right? In order to communicate that motion. Oh, that's really good. Okay, hang on. And again, we see like here, like the choices that are being made about like, okay, this is an important scene emotionally for like the thrust of the narrative of the whole thing. So here we're going to commit some more resources at the cost of, I guess, we're not really having a background. But the lack of a background, again, is also, this is staged, right? Like the character is literally pulling a curtain as though they are unveiling something. And they're putting on a little play. So this seems to be happening like in the space of the mind, or maybe this was a sparring session that they had, but we're not getting access to like the location because all we have are the two characters. And they're seemingly somewhat one-sided rivalry. And so here again, we're getting like the little touches, right? Like that we get this little bit of shake as they clash, just to communicate like the tension of the forces that are involved. And some more complicated motion of like, you can see the character rotating around the center of their own gravity in order to get in, use the axe to get the disarm. And like, fucking lovely use of line of action here. And then this little sequence where like we shift perspectives, right? Like before we're sort of behind the main protagonist of the thing. Now we're behind the secondary protagonist, and we get the swing in, duck, grab, arm under lift to disarm and lift up. But this thing, look at this. That caught my eye. Because this doesn't make sense, right? Like the perspective here. In fact, let me try and where the fuck are my... There. Let me just try and rotate that 180. Right? Because this is like a really interesting distorted perspective that's being used here, right? Like we're really leaning into the foreshortening of like both the body and then this arm coming out and being absolutely fucking huge. And that's the kind of thing, like this you couldn't get away with in a comic panel, most likely, right? Like this is the kind of thing that you probably couldn't do in a comic panel because it looks awkward and it looks wrong, but because it's part of a movement, right? Like because it's part of the transition from the lift to the slam. And that's the thing you can do with animation, right? Like because it's part of that, boom, transition thing. And I will say also, like, the person who's doing this animation, these kinds of physical interactions between characters, right? Like not just that the characters are in the frame together, but that they are physically interacting, right? Like that they are interacting with one another's mass, that they're moving each other around. And that especially like when we're doing like combat moves like this with arm locks and things like that, the way that the mass of two people interconnect in that way is not a trivial thing to draw correctly. And again, here, because it's an animatic, we're not really worried about it being correct in the strictest sense of the word, but the communication has to be correct, right? Like, you have to be able to feel the feeling of it, the vibe, the motion, and the movement has to be clear. And this is a relatively complex little action sequence between the two characters, the way that their bodies are intermingling and interconnecting with one another, right? Especially this little movement. Like, I wonder where they got the reference for this bit of animation here, because, like, that's fairly complicated. Like, sliding the hand up the arm there to grab the hand while holding the forearm, pressing the knee into the neck, and then twisting that into, like, the arm lock that eventually ends the fight. That's a fairly complicated physical interaction between two people. And again, making that read, making that look right with such few frames of animations, with so little material with which to work with, that is genuinely impressive work on the part of the storyboard. Like, this is someone who knows how to make two bodies interact with each other and make that physicality feel real. Like, that looks painful, right? When the poor kid gets put in the thing. And that the thing I actually want to talk about, the reason why I even paused here, I like the contrast. Again, maximum communication with minimal, like, number of frames. How does this kid run, right? He's running like throwing his arms out, right? Like, he doesn't really have a strong running structure as he's running. His arms are kind of flailing a little bit. His head is down. His shoulders are hunched over. And then our other guy is coming along. Look how structured his run is. Like, it's, again, absolutely minimal character animation for maximum amount of communication, right? Literally doing the on your left thing from Winter Soldier. But these two cycling frames of run animation doing the job of telling us that this kid is like, I don't know my cardio. And this guy's just like, on your left, boom. He has that discipline and structure. And then the next thing of leaning further forward, and then we speed up the 2-cycle pump, right? Like the Mega Man running animation here. We speed it up a little bit just to indicate that thing of like him being frustrated and trying to catch up. And again, absolutely minimal, but it gets the idea across.
Nobody's gonna blame me. I'll win no buts or maybes. Cause baby, you're a loser. A loser. You'll get no company. No company. Cause you're a loser. A loser. You'll get no company. No company. Baby, you're a loser. A loser. You'll get no company.
I wonder if we're implying that's a small kid to throw in a puddle, I'm just saying. So I wonder if we're implying direct abuse here, or just like stern father who refuses to acknowledge the emotional needs of their child at all, kind of like if it's just that you're a disappointment because you can't perform a perfect triple axel backflip at the age of 4. Like, I wonder if that's what it is, or if it is like, because the kid is crying, I wonder if it is direct physical abuse here. That's certainly, in terms of the storytelling, feels like it squares a little bit more, that we have this person who's held up as a hero, right? Who's admired, who's like, oh my god, they're so cool, they had a statue built up for them, which is all shiny and looks amazing. But then in reality, they were just kind of an asshole to their own child. Or if it's just a thing of like, this is the perception that our character has because they were a child and their father was emotionally unavailable, right? Like or emotionally neglectful. And it's more like their experience was that this was more harsh than maybe it was in reality. I wonder about that. Like, that's sort of a longer narrative thing, which I probably think is not gonna get, is not gonna get resolved in this thing.
Baby, you're a loser. A loser. You'll get no company.
Okay. Hi. Yes. No. No. Please. Please don't. No. 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 Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Why? Why are you? Why? Okay. So Artemis. That's so gross. She just climbed on my lap, and now she's cuddling on my chest. Yes, it's very nice. But she's just been outside, and it's raining outside, and it's your wet cat, baby. Your toes are so cold. Your toes are so cold. And she's purring, and I know her well enough that's because she's in the cuddle mood of the night. She gets one cuddle mood every single night, sometimes two. And now she wants to cuddle, and I know for a fact that there's nothing I can do to change this, so I might have to do the rest of this video with cold, wet cat paws on my chest and only one arm, because she's resting on the other. Oh, yes. Oh, you look pleased with yourself, don't you? Yes, you do. You look pleased with yourself. You're lucky you're so cute. You know that, right? Oh. Oh, she snuggled into my beard. I am weak. Oh my God. This is why I can't be a dad. This is why I can't be a dad. Like, how am I supposed to refuse my child anything? Okay, yep, no, alright. What? Ah, for fuck's sake. Okay, yes. She wants to shove her tail in my face, which is a little bit inconvenient. Like, please don't step on the keyboard. Please do not step on the keyboard. Please do not. Okay, give me a sec. Artemis, hi, baby. Yes, I know. Could you not, please not on the desk. Okay. You can be up here. You can sleep on me. Leave my desk alone, because you're going to press a button and it's going to cause a problem.
Hey, no company, not from me, 'cause you're a loser. A loser, you'll get no company. No company, not from me.
Oh, is this because... Okay, so in the magic lore of Cazilor, some people are blessed, enchanted, there's a specific word for it. They have like a special magical gift from nature that allows them to do specific things, but it also causes physical transformation. And I think that's probably what we're doing here. Katrin Snodgrass? What is that? Is that a Swedish name? Yes, no, please don't. Not on the keyboard. Not on the keyboard, baby. Okay. We're losing my train of thought here. Jessica Castillo, Carrie McBride, Mason Busham Rameau, Annie Dragon Pejakovic, Katrin Snodgrass. Character designers: Guy Rathbone, Perry Shaban. Hang on. Shabaninesad, I think. And produced by Lonely Bros Animation. Good job to all at Lonely Bros Animation, I will say. Very effective, like, final sequence here as well, right? Like, because there's this smooth transition into a dream sequence that happens, right? Where at some point in these transitions, right? Like, where we transition from our protagonist facing their father / the giant puppet. Oh, you want to go down now? Okay. Giant puppet. Shift into the mirror where someone has written loser. And given who's in the bathroom, which is you only, there's only kind of one person who could have done that, right? And so we get this like secondary theme of self-abuse, right? And I think the connection here is like in the same way this person looked into the face of the giant and saw their father, right? And now the face of the giant puppet that had the face of the father now becomes a mirror, right? So it's like, oh, okay. And it's a mirror that says loser. And we get this, right, like this reflection shot where the character is like, we can see that so much of this, every word that they've said, like, you're a loser, you're a loser, you're a loser, you're a loser, while pointing at a little anime hair kid over here, every word of it, it's all projection, right? Like, it's all projection. It's all them reflecting their own pain and insecurity and seemingly quite justifiable anger against their father onto other people and very much onto themselves. So, like, there's this, like, if they were abused by their father, if that's specifically what this sequence is saying, they are perpetuating the cycle of abuse on themselves, right? Like their father called them a loser, right? And now they're calling themselves that all the time in their head over and over because they can't surpass him because of, you know, they're a kid and that's an adult man who's had all the time in the world to get good at shit, right? And then we transition, like, they walk home. And I will say, these homes look a little bit... I don't know that looks medieval to me. I don't know what reference images that they were using for these buildings specifically. Something about this just kind of feels like suburban picket fence house somewhere in Wisconsin or whatever. That's just me. But it does create a little bit of dissonance for me because, like, this looks like entirely wooden construction, and then we transition to this inside shot and it's like, this is a fucking dungeon now, and it's like, that those didn't look like brick buildings from the outside. So is he in the basement for some reason? Doesn't seem to be, because there's windows. So where was all this brick building on the outside if they were walking towards what looks entirely like wood construction? Minor thing, doesn't really matter, especially if we are in a dream sequence, right? Like, if this is a dream sequence, then consistency of the location doesn't matter. I just couldn't help but notice it, right? And then we mirror all the way back from here, right? Where you have this sequence running towards the thing that's towering over them. And there's the face of their father, and it's like, ah, fuck. And then here at the end, we sort of mirror that same sequence, right? Like, with this sort of bent horizon, distorted. And once again, like, the motif of overshadowing, right? Like, as the father rises out of the sea, he blocks out all the light. And we're back at the barracks, I suppose. Now, I'm curious about the significance of the changing color of the cloak, right? Because as we start out here, the cloak is colorless, right? Like, it has the color of the rest of the uniform. There is no color to it. So we're introducing this color change at the end, which is like, okay, so it's the color red. That signifies anger. That signifies, you know, it's royalty. Like, red has a lot of associations with power. But also with blood, right? So I wonder, because I know that that's the color of the Masmas! The Masmas! Sorry, Nathan, I could not remember it until this moment. The Masmas are the giant slayers. Pretty sure. It's the color of the uniform, right? So I think within the lore of Cazilor, this would signify that he has passed whatever the tests are and is now actually a fully fledged Masmas member. But just, like, outside of the deep lore of Cazilor, like, the significance here is that, like, having had this horrible dream and still being haunted by, like, this giant that he cannot slay, that is driving him to put on the cloak, right? Like, to put on the cloak and become a giant slayer, right? That the pursuit of excellence within the strictures of the Masmas is driven entirely by this fictional monster, right? Like, this imaginary beast in his head that he cannot kill with physical violence because it's in his head, and it's not really his father, right? Like, it's himself, right? Like, it's that abuse that he's perpetuating on himself. It's that memory. It's the trauma, right? It's not actually the man himself, where even if he were to kill his father, that probably wouldn't really resolve anything for him. And here again, we see, right, as we wake up with the character, it's important that we get the hyperventilation. So we do a few of those frames, right? Like, just a few of those frames to get across that they're going, like they're doing the shallow breaths thing. Lovely little camera move there as well with the picking up of the cloak. And then, like, we don't get to see them really sweep it across their shoulders, but we get, like, the implication of the motion is there. Yeah, that's very effective. Also, kind of a fucking banger. I want to hear that chorus again.
Get what? You got no. What did you think would happen? Baby, you're a loser. A loser. You get no company. No company. 'Cause you're a loser. A loser. You get no company.
I like the vocal harmonies there.
Not from me.
Also, this is something Nathan does a bunch in a bunch of his songs. Like, anytime there's a fucking...
No company. 'Cause you're a loser.
like, that guitar tone.
What happened? Baby, you're a loser.
Like, when you have the little rundown on the guitar, like, that specific guitar tone, I just have such a...
Cause you're a loser. You get no company. No company. Not from me.
Like, I just love that guitar tone, especially like when you jump down to the lower string, you get and like you play a little bit of like along with the bass line.
Pick up the pace. If that's too hard, get the fuck out the way. You'll just slow me down and stop acting like you know me now. You're a chump. You're a loser.
I need to buy this song for myself so that I can listen to it, because this is a YouTube rip, so the audio compression is like breaking it all to hell. But I want to hear that bass line, because that bass line sounds pretty fucking good, actually. But that's me reacting to the music rather than the animatic, and the animatic is the thing I wanted to talk about, mostly just because this is not trivial, right? Like, all of these choices, every single frame of this is a choice, right? Like, every time you hold on something, every time you invest a little bit of time doing a slightly more complex set of motions, it's all choices, right? It's all decisions, careful decisions that have to be made about, like, when do you invest, right? Like, when do you invest a little bit more time and resources into a specific action versus when do you not, right? Like, so these two characters talking to each other, you could do a little bit of secondary motion, a little bit of waggling of the head, or like a little bit of mouth flapping on them if you want to. Not necessary, though. You don't need it, because the important thing in this shot is that, right? It's that these two people are talking, and this guy just breaks them up very rudely, right? Like, because he's acting out on his own, like, internal insecurities. And every single frame, every moment, every second of this is full of choices like that, right? Where do we put the effort? Where do we put the time? It's not trivial. It's hard. It's really hard. And when I see these things, like, it's the brain poison that I have, which I'm trying to pass on to you. I'm a zombie biting you, trying to share my infection, because this is what I see every time I look at cinematics and animatics. Like, this is like, I look at, okay, it's the jazz thing, right? It's about the frames that you don't draw. What I like about it is that one thing animatics do, right, which like fully produced Sakuga animation doesn't. One thing that animatics do is that they reveal so much more of the decision-making process, right? Like, so much more of the mechanics of the decision-making process of, like, what does the director of this thing believe is the important action, right? Like, where do they believe this is where the audience should be paying attention? This is where the audience needs more information. This is where the audience requires more motion, more movement, more action. You get so much information about that when you watch an animatic, because in animatics, right, they reveal where the priority is.
Passion. What did you think would happen, baby?
Right, like that little, where we're like,
Passion.
what did you think? That little triple slap.
Did you think would happen?
And then, like, we do a little bit of setup and wind up, right? Like, again, that little decision to hold here, then set up with, like, the finger outstretched, pushing towards the figure, and then the knockdown, right? Like, we do a little bit of that wind up before we get the knockdown. Because that's, like, the important emotional communication about how this guy is talking to him, right? Like, he's not actually even talking to the guy, right? Like, he has this big problem with this dumb kid who's not strong enough and who's not making enough of an effort, and everyone likes him for some reason just because he has a nice personality and he talks to people and he seems to like himself. Bleh. This asshole but he's not talking to the actual person, right? Like, he has this issue with him, but he's not talking to the person. He's talking to this little imaginary piece on a game board that he's trying to order around according to his design, right? He's yelling at an entirely imaginary version of the person, right? Like, he has this grudge that he's not actually expressing properly. Which, again, like, that's a good way to communicate something about this person's interiority, right? Like, that they have all this conflicting superiority inferiority complex, right? Like, with they are projecting their own insecurities so hard onto this kid, but they're not vocalizing it. They're not actually talking to the kid. They're not actually getting to know him, where, like, maybe this person's friendship could be helpful for you, actually. Maybe help you heal some of those emotional wounds that you have by having someone who's willing to care for and believe in you, who's not your shitty-ass dad, but he's not, right? Like, he has this game board in his mind where the one piece there, like, this shitty piece keeps rolling low, right? This shitty piece has low stats, and it's fucking up my battle strategy, right? Like, it's fucking up the plan for how I'm gonna outshine my father, that I'm saddled with this weak-ass kid on my team who's gonna fuck it up, and I can never, like, reach the achievements I want, and it's upsetting me because everyone likes him, and I feel very intensely that I'm not liked because I'm not worth liking, because I am a loser, I'm a piece of shit, and I'm a disappointment to everyone around me forever. And I try to deal with that difficulty emotionally through anger, right? Which I project outwards. As a little character piece, like as a little study of all of the shit that's wrong with this poor kid, it's effective. And you can see, like, the decision to invest some more time into, like, the little spinny round motion with the finger on the figure, and, like, the slapping thing on the hands.
What did you think?
Like, just effective storytelling. Like, it's good directing, quite frankly. Yeah, this is really good. I need to pick up the fucking album. I need to pick up the single first. I don't think the album is out yet. It might be. I should have figured this out before I sat down to make this thing. But Tales from Cazilor, Wyldflowers, this is one of the singles. Go listen to it on your own time. I cannot imagine it's a very good listening experience with me interrupting every 10 to 15 seconds to yap about moderately unrelated things. Go check it out, because Nathan is very good at what he does. And he's also fun to play D&D with, I should say. D&D and also, what's it called? Masks, one of the Powered by the Apocalypse things. Because we have played 2 seasons. We have played 1 season, and we're playing a 2nd season on the D&D Dorks. The first one was called Power Play, where we played like a bunch of teenage superheroes, sort of fucking everything up and having to fix it very, very quickly. After dying, sort of, kind of, watch the show. It's good. Power Play is good. That was DM'd by Matt, who's Sir Superhero over on TikTok, if you know him. And now we're playing in One Day at a Time, which is DM'd by Pirate Princess Jessica, or Pirate Princess Jess, who you may know from elsewhere on the internet, which is a sort of time loop situation where, as I said, Nathan plays a female servant robot, which is slowly awakening to her consciousness and is figuring out just how important she really is and trying to figure out what she believes is true and right, and also has a very negative reaction if someone ever calls her an idiot. And I am playing a tokusatsu-inspired wrestler who might also be a union organizer. And maybe we have to kill God. Also, Mike Funnyboy is there, playing the world's biggest, most charming and hilarious scumbag, who I love and who I love to punch. And Pirate Princess Jess, and it's Saint Josie, Jess's partner, who's playing Razor, who's like sort of a little bit more of your stereotypical angry, slightly edgelord character, but with a real heart underneath there. But some really interesting thing. I don't want to say too much because I'm not 100% sure which episode is going to be out by the time I release this. But some shit happens. Some shit happens in this campaign. Some shit happens that is not at all, in any way, shape, or form, politically relevant to anything that is happening in the real world now or ever. I can tell you that for sure, that it definitely isn't that. Some cool shit happens, and everyone gets to have such cool fucking roleplay moments. Nathan especially, like Otto, his character, the way that he's playing her, there's a lot of fun there. Also, you gotta fucking watch One Day at a Time, if nothing else, just to hear Mike Funnyboy play Dreg Douglas, the biggest scumbag on earth. I love him so much. He's so much fun. I want to punch him all the time, and it's wonderful. Please watch the show. Please watch the show that we do, because it's good. I promise you it's good. If you just second screen content, put it on, listen to it as a podcast. It's on Spotify. It's a good time. We might have to kill God. I really want to kill God. I hope Jessica lets us kill God eventually, because I really want to kill God. And also Tales from Cazilor Wyldflowers, this thing that the song was from, which has a really good cinematic animation thing for it. That has actually made me quite interested in what the narrative of the album is gonna be. Maybe I can get Nathan to give me like a preview. I don't know. We're recording in a few days. If the album isn't out by then, maybe I'll just like, hey, can I listen? Maybe. Anyway, I'm rambling now. I can feel my ADHD meds are slowly starting to wear off. Sure, I should probably call this by now. Which means I have to do this. Yeah, it worked. Okay. Like, comment, subscribe, Patreon, blah, blah, blah. Become a member of the channel, because if you do that, then the names down there, one of those could be you. Isn't that exciting? Or don't, maybe, if you don't want to. You don't have to. The most important thing is check out Tales from Cazilor Wyldflowers, because Nathan did a good job on it, I think. I suspect. I don't know yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right. Bye.